Well, certainly we are seeing, unfortunately, as expected, a very severe situation unfolding across parts of Italy. Thanks for clicking on to the Wednesday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. Before we get into the video, please like, please share with your friends and family, and indeed hit that subscribe button. I do appreciate that. And of course, if you do like the video, it lets Facebook know that you're enjoying the content. Let me know that you're enjoying the content down in the comments below. And even if there's a couple of suggestions with regards to things that you may want me to talk about, feel free to let me know that as well. So, yeah, very, very unfortunate situation across parts of south central Italy, or should I say Europe, because we have got an area of low pressure at the moment that is bringing some very nasty conditions to southern areas of the continent. Here we have got a flood situation unfolding at the moment. So if we get back, you can see here, this is the situation going on at the moment in parts of Italy. So like I made mention of yesterday, we could see a situation with flooded streets, possible vehicles getting driven down streets by floodwaters and whatnot. And to be honest with you, it looks as if, unfortunately, that is kind of happening. A very, very serious situation at the moment, as you can see here over parts of Italy. So certainly our thoughts and our prayers are with the people here at this moment in time. Yeah, where do you start with that? It's been expected, unfortunately. So yeah, what more can I really say about that? So that's the situation going on in many parts of Italy, as well as other parts of southern Europe as well. And what we've got is we have got some quite significant contrasts over the continent at the moment. We've got 26 degrees in the Arctic of Russia, while we've got temperatures stuck, mid afternoon of 9, 7, 8 Celsius, southern Poland, northeastern Czech Republic, northern Slovakia, even in the large swathes of Austria. We've got unusually cold temperatures for this time of the year. Really have to go down to the southwest of Europe to get any real warmth. But at the same time, we've got some tremendous amounts of warmth actually at the moment across parts of, especially southeastern portions of Turkey, down into Lebanon, Israel, Syria. We've got temperatures into the 20s along the coast, but get yourself inland, it can be as high as 42 Celsius, as you can see here in some parts here of the desert to the east of the Mediterranean. So very, very significant contrasts between Central Europe, Northeastern Europe. The UK, is relatively cool compared to what we could see at this time of the year. And this is the temperature anomaly of the GFS for this afternoon. So we've got a large swathe of 10 Celsius or lower below average in parts of the region I've just mentioned. Warm along the west coast of Iberia, warm in the southeastern portions of Turkey and into parts of the Middle East as well, as you can see here. So very, very messy conditions indeed. Remember I mentioned yesterday in the video with regards to both the GFS ensemble as well as the ECMWF weeklies showing a significant warming trend towards the very end of the month. Now, I have to emphasize the word significant, being nothing unusual. I did see one comment making mention about the 25, 26 Celsius towards the end of May. Nothing unusual, and they're spot on actually. It is not, but it certainly would be noteworthy compared to what we've had so far this year. Bear in mind, 22.6 Celsius were entered well into the second half of May. That is pretty subpar for this time of the year in terms of a UK maximum for the year. But certainly 25, 26 Celsius would feel pretty warm indeed, but not out with the realms of what could be considered normal for the time of the year, of course. So looking at the GFS here, you can see here the mess that we've got over central and southern portions of Europe at the moment. We've got also some fairly cool conditions, even mountain snow across northern portions of Norway, Sweden, and Finland. So cooling down a bit here after the low to mid 20s that was seen in recent days and over the past week or so. There's that area of high pressure generating mid 20s, even upper 20s in northwestern parts of Russia. The UK at the moment here, we've got an area of high pressure that's settling things down. Welcome news, of course, given the fact that this is how the spring has looked so far. This is a tweet by JW Photography. You can see here from the 1st of March through the 14th of May, that has got the strong positive southwestern portions of Iberia, as well as up to the north of the UK. So you can see why it's been a cool, well, I say cool, relatively cool and indeed wet spring. The average temperature for March and April, of course, being just a notch below average. But like I've beat the drum long enough and enough about that. The fact is that we could see some impacts on the upcoming summer based on the type of spring that we've seen, and that will be, of course, featured in the summer forecast. The tweet actually goes on to say how in the next few weeks we could be seeing more in the way of high pressure, but becoming more dominant, drier, and warmer conditions. Of course, very welcome news here for many parts of the UK and Ireland, where it has been relatively disappointing so far. But what is interesting here, folks, is that remember, like I said, I made mention about the fact that we've got that strengthening high over Scandinavia, seen by both the GFS ensemble and the ECMWF. Look at this here. This is quite interesting, actually, because it actually kind of slightly goes against that now. And this just shows you the fickle nature of these model runs. So we've got warmth across northern portions of Europe, Central Europe. This is, of course, early next week. Cool, and we're kind of flexing back and forth across the UK because high pressure tends to want to lean a little bit more to the west, if not the slight southwest of the UK and Ireland. So therefore, we're kind of always keeping that airflow in from a kind of west to northwest direction, as opposed to a more southerly direction where we're tapping warmer source air. So it's quite interesting as we play through this loop. Now, this is off the GFS operational, so it's just one run, but it's interesting how back and forth these mod runs can be. Look at this here. So yeah, we've got a little bit of warmer than average conditions, as you can see here, progressing. But watch this here. As we press towards the final, 5 or 6 days of the month, notice here that we're kind of back and forth between warm and cool here. That's probably underneath an area of high pressure. But watch what happens. Look at the cooler that starts to filter south as we progress towards the end of the month. And that is a very different outcome to what was shown yesterday. Like I've said, emphasizing, very interesting how, this is one individual mod run, and there's, of course, several runs throughout the course of the day. So each model run has a different outcome. You tend to want to look more at the ensembles where you've got a better representation of a trend potentially. But that is an interesting, shot of unusually cold air as we progress from the end of May into the early portion of June. So let's look at the GFS overview chart here. You can see what's taking place. So an area of high pressure looks as if it's going to maintain itself overall through the best part of the rest of the month. Notice here the area of high pressure just to the north of the Azores here. Of course, this is not an overly warm setup where you've got the high position where it is. We've got winds coming in over the top of that area of high pressure. So we've always got features, frontal systems, weather systems trying to run over the top of that high and create a bit of a glancing blow over the northern half of the British Isles. So keeping it a little bit periodically unsettled across the northern half of the British Isles, more settled underneath the high itself across the bulk of England and Wales. So the overall theme is for drier conditions through the remainder of the month, which of course will be welcome. But as we continue to play through the loop here, notice the features running over the top of that area of high pressure, but we're not essentially tapping particularly warm air out of the southwest. Number one, there's not an awful lot of warmth over Iberia, to tap anyway. But it's interesting here. This, of course, the upcoming weekend, we've got that frontal system moving across the British Isles here, probably fizzling out as it moves south and southeast. But look at this here. Look at this area of low pressure to the south of Greenland, the area of high pressure. Instead of it being just north of the Azores or between the Azores and Ireland, it's now starting to push up towards the northwest and opening the door to something a lot cooler coming in from the northwest into the British Isles here. So, this is not a particularly warm or summery pattern as we progress through the period. And notice here with the position at high to the west, we've always got that possibility of something coming in from a more northerly direction. And you can see that taking place here. This is towards the end of the month. And that is a cool shot of air. Let's look at the 850 temperatures, for example. And like I say, this could completely disappear come tomorrow. I get that. But look at the lack of warmth even through the Mediterranean as we start the summer. And look at this cold shot coming in out of the Arctic region here into Scandinavia. So this is certainly a very interesting scenario. Let's play right the way through the loop, and you can see here that there's not a great deal of warmth to play with here over and through the remainder of the month, really. Not really that much warmth really across most of Europe, may I add. And then watch this here, this dump of cold air coming in from the north. So isn't that rather interesting? Now, why would that be the case? Why is it possible that we have, instead of it being a warmer period and an actual cooler period, is down possibly to the Manjulian oscillation rotating back into the phases that we've seen through most of this spring? Phase 7, 8, into 1. That tends to lead to more kind of high latitude blocking and whatnot. I know that the parameters change as we go through, from winter, spring into the summer. The parameters, the overall atmospheric dynamics change. We start to see the seas warming up and whatnot, the jet stream weakening and all that. These are all aspects that need to get taken into consideration. But you notice here that the NAO is firmly positive but trending back towards neutral. The Arctic oscillation firmly positive, trending back towards neutral. And with that positive NAO, we've not seen a great deal of warmth this spring so far. That takes me on to the summer's opening month, June. The CFS V2 looks as if it's high and dry and slightly warmer than average. If I'm being completely honest with you folks, I would take that slightly with a pinch of salt based on everything that we've seen so far this spring, what we're seeing at the moment and what we're seeing in some of the models. Drier than average for June, as you can see here. And of course, no surprise here, warmer than average. As per usual, the CFS V2 sees very little in the way of cool in an overall outcome. So yeah, very interesting stuff indeed. I'm not necessarily going back on what I said yesterday, but isn't it very interesting how each individual model run can go back and forth between solutions? It will be interesting to see whether this, GFS ensemble, the ECMWF weeklies, does the models go back to that overall idea of a strengthening high across the northern half of Europe, and therefore a taste of true summer across the UK, between the 25th and the 30th of May or whatever? Or are we going to start to see a little bit of a change around in the overall solution? So, food for thought, plenty of it. Stay right here on my YouTube channel. Check out marvelweather.com. You know the drill by now. And I will hopefully be back again tomorrow with more. Summer forecast is coming up, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.